This is supposed to be a routine traffic stop for a defective brake light.
So, no, something's over like $10,000.
I just spent my last $13 in the gas tanks.
Any heroin in the car?
No, there are no drugs in the car. There are no guns in the car.
All right, what about like methamphetamine?
There are no drugs in the car.
Okay. What about
Of any
pills?
kind. There are no drugs in the car.
What about like small amounts of marijuana?
No marijuana.
Okay.
But this cop has taken some classes. He knows everything now.
I'm trained up, right? So I've attended several classes. All right, do you consent to a search of
No.
your vehicle? No, you
I do not.
And he thinks he's going to catch a drug runner.
All right, while they're sorting that out, okay, I'm gonna go finish up that warning so that if there's not a dog available, you guys will be on.
We're waiting for a dog. Not interested because there's nothing in there.
If a police officer stops somebody for an equipment violation, they can only hold that individual for a reasonable amount of time, and that is the amount of time it takes to write a ticket or a warning for that equipment violation. The innocent victim here who submitted the footage to me knows his rights though, and he even asks the officer, are you allowed to prolong this traffic stop to engage in a drug investigation?
It's not a violation to extend the traffic stop beyond the course of the initial stop to, like, get a dog.
No.
Like,
Nope.
Not surprisingly, this police officer has no idea what the constitutional law actually is here.
I mean, we're not gonna be out here for hours, so
We're doing our due diligence as officers.
Did the officer violate this man's constitutional rights by holding him, asking him drug questions, and then making him wait for a dog to come sniff around his vehicle? Let's look at the specific facts that were captured on video here. Then I'll tell you what the law is, and that will give us the answer. But real quick, let me tell you about the sponsor for this video. And constitutional rights are very important to the sponsor. The sponsor of this video is NMN from Black Forest Supplements, and here's why I like this product. We're entering a new realm of tyranny. Consider this, the IRS has amassed an arsenal of 4,500 guns, 5 million rounds of ammunition, 621 shotguns, 539 sniper rifles, and 15 submachine guns. The Department of Veteran Affairs, tasked with assisting our veterans, has acquired 11 million rounds of ammunition. This isn't just any supplement, it's a game changer. A recent Harvard study showed that NMN can help reduce weight, cholesterol, and even blood pressure in overweight adults. This thing has been dubbed the limitless pill because people say it can take 10 to 20 years off of you. Unfortunately, though, you may not be able to get NMN much longer. The FDA is trying to keep it away from us. The FDA is attempting to change the status of NMN supplements to be classified as a drug, which would allow pharmaceutical companies to basically control it. And this move isn't based on the efficacy or safety of NMN, but it's aimed at cornering the market and keeping us in line. I don't promote many people, but I genuinely respect these guys. They're fighters. They stand up to government tyranny. I asked them if they could offer a special deal, and they agreed to an amazing buy two, get one free for 48 hours deal. And I wanted my audience to have a chance to get their hands on NMN before any potential restrictions come into play. So I urge you to check out the link below and grab some for yourself before it's too late. Now let's get back to the video. So this happened in Pflugerville, Texas on April 13th, 2023. The driver writes, a passenger and I were driving within the speed limit on Pflugerville Parkway. At 14:24 hours, Officer Z. Tatum, badge number 436, did a U-turn and got behind my vehicle. He remained behind me through 3 stoplights and then engaged his emergency lights at 14:32. He approached the passenger side of my vehicle and explained the reason for the stop was that my third center brake light wasn't functioning, and he intended to give me a written warning for that. He collected my driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance and then returned to his cruiser. At 14:35, he returned to the driver's side and asked me to exit my vehicle. I asked why, and he said, I just want to talk to you. Oh yeah, and pay attention to the times here because they're going to be very important.
are you supposed to have 2 stickers on that car?
nope.
Really? Because there's definitely a spot for a second sticker on the
They don't
left
do
side.
it. It's got the month on there. It's got the month and the year.
So what goes on the
They
left
used
side?
to. They used to.
Now? Yeah.
Now, they used to have 2, but now.
Oh, they changed it
And
to
you can
1?
see that the month and the year.
Oh yeah,
on
I
that
can see the
sticker,
year. That's
so.
why I was asking. I didn't know if it was a 2 sticker.
You mind if I get a cigarette?
I do.
Okay.
Are they like readily available?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just that we usually don't let people get back in the car.
She will hand you a cigarette.
That's what I'm gonna ask.
I teach class twice a year in Oakland, California.
Yeah.
And so I would just like leave my truck where it was
Yeah.
and fly. I had an apartment in Oakland at that time. And
Would you fly like a prop plane or like commercial? Or?
yeah, I would just fly commercial.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, what's your name? Officer?
Tatum.
Tatum?
Yeah, that's a T. I stand like this so much that it
Right.
rubs off.
Number 436.
That's correct.
And you're Adkins, number 391. Thank you.
Officer Tatum explained that he had called a neighboring jurisdiction and had requested a canine officer to report to the scene.
Is there any reason that she would have narcotics or anything on her that you wouldn't know about?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see if a dog's available. If not, I got to finish inputting your information. That's what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll be on your way.
Okay.
Not a big deal. So.
We're waiting for a dog.
Is there any reason a dog would alert on the vehicle?
Not to my knowledge.
All right. While they're sorting that out, okay. I'm gonna go finish up that warning so that if there's not a dog available, you guys will be on your way.
He repeatedly asked if there were drugs in the car by name each time. I honestly answered that there were no drugs in the car.
Okay.
What about like small amounts of marijuana?
No marijuana.
Okay. So Texas is
No
still...
drugs of any kind. I don't smoke marijuana.
Okay. So no sums over like $10,000.
I just spent my last $13 in the gas tank, so.
All right. Any heroin in the car?
No, there are no drugs in the car. There are no guns in the car.
All right. What about like methamphetamine?
There are no drugs in the car.
Okay. What about
Of any
pills?
kind. There are no drugs in the car.
Okay.
At all.
All right. Do you consent to a search of
No.
your vehicle? No. You
I do not.
Okay.
I also offered that there were no weapons in the car and voluntarily surrendered my pocket knife, placing it on the roof of the car.
I have a pocket knife right there. That's.
Cool. Do you mind if I take that off?
I
Put it
don't.
on the roof?
I don't.
mind if I just-
Can I do it?
By all means.
I don't consider that a weapon. I consider it a tool. I
Yeah.
mostly cut tape with it.
I asked Officer Tatum what reasonable suspicion he had that there were drugs in the vehicle, but he only gave me vague responses. I asked about the legality of extending the stop beyond the scope of writing the warning for the infraction that was the purpose of the stop, and he insisted that it was within his authority to do so. I asked again about what reasonable suspicion he had, and he responded with, "I'm trained up and I've been to a few classes," and that my behavior somehow indicated something to him.
Is that girlfriend, spouse, sister, friend?
Yes.
All of the above?
She's my sister, girlfriend, wife.
All right, just give me a second, okay? So I'm gonna see if the canine's available. They'll be out here, do sniff, good to go, and then they'll bounce. So.
What is your suspicion that I have any of these aforementioned drugs in my car?
So I mean, I'm trained up, right? So I've attended several classes, and some of the behaviors that you're exhibiting
What
may
are
or may
those?
not be consistent with, criminal behavior. Good to go, man. There'll still be a warning. Not worried about it.
Is it not a violation to extend the traffic stop beyond the course of the initial stop to, like, get a dog?
No.
Like,
Nope. I mean, we're not going to be out here for hours, so.
We're doing our due diligence as officers.
I just wonder what reasonable suspicion you have to believe that there are drugs in the car.
I'm not saying it's based on several behavior changes in you. That's all.
Do you mind sharing those? I'm just
I'm
curious.
going to keep those to myself.
The K-9 unit Round Rock Officer Garmong, badge number 5160, didn't arrive on the scene until 1511. They arrived at my vehicle at 1513, after a brief conversation with the Pflugerville officers, did an open-air sniff of the car, circling it 4 times, as well as into the open passenger window, and returned to the vehicle at 1518 without indication or further incident.
And the dog would alert to your vehicle.
Wow, he's beautiful.
You must have just got a haircut because he does look real good.
Seems like he wants to go in the creek. It's cooler in there. Do you mind if I get on the boat? I don't want to scare the puppy. Not interested because there's nothing in there. No, he's not.
Hey, beautiful.
After finally printing the written warning, Officer Tatum handed it to me, and I was released to return to my vehicle at 15:20.
All right, I appreciate your time. Like I said, my badge number in my card right there.
Thank you.
So I can print or attempt to print the warning if you'd really like it.
I don't need it.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, if you don't mind, if,
I can try. So honestly, my printer has been acting up. So
give it a try. If it doesn't go, it doesn't go.
Okay, cool.
Excuse me, officer. Can I get your name, please? Badge number?
It's Officer Armand, 5160.
5160.
However, Officer Tatum had not returned my driver's license, and I had to go pick it up at the station later. So here are the basic facts, as we see in the video, and according to the details provided by the guy who submitted this. 14:24, officer makes the U-turn to get behind him. 14:32, the emergency lights come on. 14:35, the officer returns to the police cruiser after getting this individual's information. At 14:38, the officer then returns for the second time to the car that he had stopped. And then he asks him to get out of the car. So that's 14:35. He exits the car at 14:38. Then all of this conversation that we see occurs. The K9 is called, and then the K9 unit doesn't arrive until 15:11. The K9 unit searches the car at 15:13. The K9 unit leaves the scene after having not found any drugs or not sniffed any drugs at 15:18. Then at 15:20, the detainment is finished and this individual is then free to leave. What other video that I've done does this remind you of? Do you remember this guy?
How do you say your name? Alec? Where are you from? Houston? What were you doing down here? Oh, really? What do you do for work? What is that? Where was your customer at? I'm not from Texas, man. I'm from Maine.
Oh, well, I drove last night because it was...
What hotel did you stay at? I just stayed at one the other day. I was lucky. The one I stayed at was a new one. This thing I'm giving you, man, it looks like a ticket, but it's a warning, okay? I'm 42 years old, and I spent 18 years as an infantryman prior to being a cop, so I'm not the brightest.
Hey, that's hard work, man.
Yeah. When was the last time you came down this way? You like Houston? I know there's a lot of crime. Stayed at that Holiday Inn, and I was like, I was in this thing, and I thought I was gonna get.
Well,
my
there's some
vehicle
weird
robbed.
parts. I don't know which part you're in, but there's some parts I would not stay.
I was right by the airport.
Oh yeah.
So-
No, that's
We just had an 18-wheeler the other day, 100 and something people in it, stuffed in.
oh my-
So your name is Scott, SCHOTT, and your address, date of birth. Has this been your truck from the beginning? What year is it? And it was funny because when San Antonio recently got that snow,
Yeah.
they acted the way Maine did to the ice storm.
yeah.
And I was like, man, it was like 3 inches. is horrible. What's your phone number, sir? I think sleepy drivers are more dangerous than drunk drivers. You live in a house or an apartment? And then what was it you were working on with your customer here? Were you selling him something? So did you just kind of go there and tell him about it? Did you go over there with anybody else? Have you ever been in trouble with anything? Anything with the law or anything like that? Yeah, I always tell people, man, they think all cops are out here for speeding. I was like, no, not all cops. So what I do, what I am is I'm on what's called a criminal interdiction unit. So I don't have to deal with all that crap. I don't give tickets, I give warnings. And the main reason is I sit on the side of the highway and I'm out here looking for, because it's bad out here, human smuggling, drug smuggling, and all those things like that. If you're going 100 miles an hour, there's cops for that. It ain't me. The guy I'm looking for is the guy that's going to be going 76 into 75 and slows down to 65 when he sees me. Now we're dealing with somebody who just reacted. Yeah. So
we acted poorly, very guilty.
It's all behavior stuff, man, and that's what we do out here. Oh my God. Is your wife? Oh, okay. And is that your mom? Oh, okay. Do you have anything in your vehicle that you're not supposed to have? Do you have any marijuana in the vehicle? Any cocaine? Any heroin? And that's black or brown. Any THC oil, THC wax, vapes, anything of that nature? Any types of methamphetamine, being crystal or liquid? Any pills that aren't prescribed to you? Any hallucinogens, being THC oil, THC wax, anything like that? Do you have any large sums of money over $10,000? Do you have any types of anything illegal? Has anybody asked you to carry anything in your vehicle? And are you the only person that's driven this vehicle for the last 48 hours? Would you allow me to search your vehicle?
Or not.
Okay, so what I'll do is we have a canine pretty close, so I'm gonna have a canine come out and do a walk around your vehicle. That way it'll go quicker. But just I have some reasons to believe that there might be something in your vehicle. And then the reason I'm not trying to freak you out. So what I hate about police, as funny as that sounds, I hate when cops use what's called smoke and lasers. I hate when dudes like dance around. So what I do is I talk to people and I do behavioral analysis type stuff. And I've been wrong before, but there's just some things I'm seeing that makes me want to go a little further with the investigation, okay?
And just like the law enforcement hero in today's video, he was completely wrong. That was a completely innocent guy that was being stopped and harassed and questioned in order to stall to get the drug dog there on the scene. But unlike today's video, in that particular case, which I'll link, they pretended that the drug dog hit and then searched the guy's truck and, of course, found nothing. And that case is the subject of an Institute for Justice lawsuit, the Texas search case. So I'll link that information as well. And if you want to help the fight against innocent people being harassed by police, and it happens a lot in Texas apparently, I would encourage you to donate to the Institute for Justice. I have my own custom donation link. That's how important it is to me, which I have in the description below to every video. So what's the problem here? Well, the problem is, just as I said, you have innocent people being harassed by police officers who think they know some psychological voodoo of when they can see that there's like some secret drug smuggler. So they pull somebody over for a legitimate traffic violation, we're assuming, and instead of just issuing them a ticket or a warning and sending them on their way, they're holding them longer than they should to complete that process. And they're abusing that process to perform a drug investigation just based on a hunch. And that's illegal. Why is it illegal? Well, there is a Supreme Court case called U.S. versus Rodriguez that says it's illegal. So this happened in Texas. Texas is in the Fifth Circuit. This is the controlling law on this right now in the Fifth Circuit. So a police stop that exceeds the time needed to handle the matter for which the stop was made, this is why the facts matter, violates the Constitution's shield against unreasonable seizures. That's the Fourth Amendment. So it's important. Why was a stop made? Well, broken taillight. Had nothing to do with drugs. If the stop has to do with some legitimate suspicion of drugs, then yeah, police officers can ask questions about drugs and perhaps it would be reasonable to hold longer. So a seizure justified only by a police-observed traffic violation becomes unlawful if it is prolonged beyond the time reasonably required to complete the mission of issuing a ticket for the violation. Once the purpose of a valid traffic stop has been completed and an officer's initial suspicions have been verified or dispelled, the detention must end unless there is additional reasonable suspicion supported by articulable facts. So that's United States versus Estrada, 5th Circuit, 2006. If the officer develops a reasonable suspicion of additional criminal activity during his investigation of the circumstances that originally caused the stop, he may further detain the occupants of the vehicle for a reasonable time while appropriately attempting to dispel this reasonable suspicion. If a police officer stops somebody for an equipment violation, they can only hold that individual for a reasonable amount of time, and that is the amount of time it takes to write a ticket or a warning for that equipment violation. If during that reasonable period of time they see or hear or smell something else that then becomes reasonable suspicion that there's drug activity involved, then it may become reasonable to hold them to prolong the stop pending a drug investigation. But there must be something that is articulable here, and that's why these officers are being trained to ask questions, though they have to do it within that short time period. And so this guy's asking questions, just like the other guy in Texas. Every question like he can remember from the street cop training seminar that he attended or wherever he learned this garbage. And he's asking all these questions. He's going down the checklist. And that's serving two purposes for him. One, it's giving time for the canine to get there, because if a canine's already there, they can run it around and sniff the car. They're allowed to do that so long as it doesn't prolong the stop to do that. So in order to prolong the stop, he has to have some sort of admission from the individual, or he could lie and say he smells marijuana or whatever. There has to be some additional basis beyond the original reason for the stop. So with all the footage that we've seen, there are no responses to any of these questions that create any articulable, reasonable suspicion that there may be drugs in the vehicle, because there were no drugs in the vehicle. It was a completely innocent person. Probably the only thing that he could articulate here, or that his lawyer after the fact could articulate, is they would say that this is like a known drug travel corridor and that it was an out-of-state license. But then they'd have to combine it with other things like, well, he wouldn't say where he was going, or the individuals had different stories about where they were going, or they had no familial relationship, or they smelled something, or the dog smelled something. There'd have to be something else here. And although some would criticize this guy for answering questions, actually by answering the questions, he dispelled any potential claim for reasonable suspicion to hold him any longer. So he actually, in my opinion, did great. He did just right. We have like a 45-minute stop. And under pretty much every case that I've seen, if it's an equipment violation stop and the officer holds somebody for 45 minutes and the facts show or the video shows that any portion of that time is to wait for this drug dog to get there, that is going to be a violation of the Fourth Amendment. And here you can see that the officer is not writing a ticket. He's just asking questions and waiting and stalling. Very, very clear-cut, prolonged stop in violation of the Fourth Amendment. And the ironic thing is the taxpayers probably paid for these officers to go to whatever seminar they went to where they learned this garbage and came back to their jurisdictions and harassed citizens with the garbage that they learned that the taxpayers paid for. So if this really pisses you off, like it does piss me off, you can do a couple things. One is share this footage so that people are educated, and so that police officers who see this are educated as well, or re-educated. And also, you can donate, like I said, to the Institute for Justice, who is fighting this identical issue. The donation link is below. If you have a video you want me to review, use the submission link below. Please subscribe both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. Remember, freedom is scary. Deal with it.